I'm Andrew Thomas. I'm an autistic adult, but I'm also a college graduate, a local producer. I am also a Special Olympics athlete who succeeded in many ways than one. I'm also here to talk to you about people with disabilities like me who had their tough times but have also succeeded in their life, and the people who helped them in my show, Andrew's Community Connection. I'm Andrew Thomas. I'm here with Chris Lynch and his sons, Samuel and Henry. We're here at Andrew's Community Connections. Been following your activities on Facebook, and we have been amazed of how busy you guys been. We just want to know how it is to deal with having disabilities. Nice to have you here, Chris.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Nice to meet
Thank
you
you for having us today.
You're welcome. Tell me how you discovered your children had disabilities.
Both Henry, first Henry is 16. He'll be 17 in April. Samuel is 14, will be 15 on January 24th, actually. Both boys were diagnosed at 18 months here locally by Dr. Strott, as a matter of fact.
What things have you found out about them with their special needs?
Well, both boys, as is typical to many people on the spectrum, are dramatically different in their idiosyncrasies and in their stimulus, or what impacts their stimulus. Henry is very engaging, creative. He does struggle some, he'll tell you, admittedly, with some social circumstances. And Samuel has probably the more traditional autism diagnosis, a lot of physical stimulation, parroting, flapping of hands, spinning. Will not answer open-ended questions, but will use words to demonstrate to you exactly what he would like.
What challenges do you face being a parent with kids with special needs?
Well, in Henry's case, again, Henry will have the ability to be independent and live a life on his own. He aspires to have his driver's license, the challenge we'll have to overcome. In Samuel's case, there are challenges every day. You're seeing some of them now, that it's difficult for him to focus, it's difficult for him to be engaged. And because he lacks awareness of things that could potentially be harmful to him, you have to be a constant source of guidance for him, which incidentally Henry is very strong suited at. Henry is indeed his brother's keeper.
Do you ever feel overwhelmed with the parenting responsibilities?
It becomes inherent to your life, and at some point you lose track of the fact that it's a burden, because it's part of everything you do, every breath you take, that you're engaged in it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Admittedly, you do at times stop and think, wow, this is a lot going on. But the reality is that neither of these young men would be who they are to me if they weren't exactly what they are.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't change either for anything, quite honestly.
What are both your boys' strengths?
Well, Henry's very artistic and creative. He has a wonderful sense of humor. He participates in theater and does quite well with it, actually. I'm amazed at his ability to create from seemingly nothing. Recently, he took a simple yellow sponge, and I would defy you to find anything that looks more like SpongeBob SquarePants than what he created, with some markers, a yellow sponge, and some tape. Samuel's strengths is that he keeps us all entertained. There's never a dull moment when Samuel's around because you never know exactly what he will get into.
The kinds of struggles do they each face?
Well, as do most anyone with any kind of special needs. Unfortunately, society has not entirely adapted to what can help them integrate into society. It's difficult at times, because of Henry's very specific interests for other people to be able to engage him. And it can be taken aback a little bit. And then, of course, with Samuel, because if Samuel's overstimulated, he'll begin to scream or holler. And it's challenging for people that don't understand, what's the source of his frustration and the fact that that's the only way he has to communicate it to him.
How does having children with disability affect your other family members?
We are fortunate, I should say, to have a very strong infrastructure around us as far as family members and friends who are understanding and capable of engaging both the boys on a level that is productive with them. It's a rare instance when there's not somebody available to lend a hand.
That's great. What progress have you seen from your son since their initial diagnosis?
With regards to the boys themselves, Henry's experienced a lot of growth. He's actually now has a relationship with a young lady that I think we would characterize conventionally as his girlfriend, which is a big step in the right direction for Henry. With Samuel, that's a harder target because of the manner in which he communicates with us. I will say that Samuel is a very good reader, and there's very few signs that we pass that Samuel can't read, particularly if it's incentive driven and it's someplace that he knows that he could get himself a prize from.
Yeah. What successful therapies have you done to help your boys out?
Henry, it's mostly mentorships with other young adults or teenagers even that participate with him on a weekly basis just in the normal flow of his day, whereby they'll just go out in the community and do normal things.
Yeah.
In Samuel's instance, we've seen some pretty good results with applied behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging to see.
Sit down.
Yeah, sit down. You'll hear certain triggers with Samuel. Also, if you heard him a few moments ago, he said when he says scream, well, then he's becoming a little bit irritable.
Yeah.
So fortunately, we haven't heard him scream yet. But yeah, those are the things that we're engaged in right now that seem to be having positive influences in each of the boys' lives.
Yeah. What concerns do you have for both your boys' futures?
Well, quite honestly, as things stand now with Samuel, God forbid, his mother or myself were to go on to our greater reward, Samuel would probably, in all likelihood, be institutionalized because there isn't anybody that really has the ability to take him on. That being said, who knows what tomorrow holds.
Yeah.
Henry is completely capable of living an independent life, and maybe one day he'd be in a position to actually take care of his brother as much as he already does it now.
Yeah.
So.
Do you believe that there's any cause, anything that causes them to have a disability?
That's probably one of the most contentious things right now amongst people who their lives are impacted by autism or a myriad of developmental delay issues. To me, and this is an uneducated perspective, but there is undoubtedly has to be some correlation with mercury-based preservatives in inoculations. That is not to say that they in and of themselves are the cause of autism. I think it's a myriad of things that have all come together to be a tempest in a teapot. I think probably underlying autoimmune deficiency issues in conjunction with the introduction of mercury based, and mercury is a poison to the human body.
But that,
So I would say that
Gerald,
while it's not the cause of autism, in all likelihood it's a catalyst for triggering the onset of the condition. And who knows? And just as much as every child on the spectrum, every adult on the spectrum possesses different idiosyncrasies and stemming behaviors, there's probably a kaleidoscope of reasons that brought them to that place.
Thank you for you guys being
Thank
here.
you, Andrew. Samuel.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Henry.
You're welcome.
Sure. And see you next time for another Andrew's Community Connection.